Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures. Tonight we're on episode 368. Regardless of what Ben's saying over here, we're on episode 368. And we're talking a little bit about what is it we're talking about here tonight, Ben? This is one of Ben's topics
Material
here tonight.
choices.
So lead us in, sir.
Yeah, so we're going to go with material choices. I guess is the sort of the name of the game. And this we'll give credit where credit is due. Stefan Kestings, I happened to run into him the other day randomly. Won't get into that too much, but I did run into him, and then the next day next couple of days I seen he's posted a few things online, and one of them was about him getting some maps printed, 5X maps. And if I remember correctly, in his book, on his first couple of days, his maps, which were paper, may have gotten wet and disintegrated. And so now he's very much pro Tyvek, and he probably was before. I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but that may have been what he could get. It may have been a little bit more effort, and he didn't think about it. But it got me to thinking. I've used Tyvek maps in the past. I absolutely love them. They're very tough. They're water resistant or proof, depending how you look at it. You don't have to worry about rain getting on them, or if they fall in the lake, you just pick them up, shake them off, and they're good to go.
I've
And
never
it's
actually
not the
used a
only.
Tyvek map. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's different. Like, it's got like a waxy feel to it, and it's really tough. Like, unless it's already has a cut in it, you pretty well won't tear it unless you're like really drying. But yeah, it's very resistant. It's to damage, and they're pretty embarrassing. And I know tarps that have been made of it. I know people have gone out and gotten Tyvek scraps from a building site and just put some grommets in it and set them up as tarps. They're notoriously loud, but if you run them through like a dryer with some old boots, usually can beat some of the hardness out of them, and they're a little more flexible, a little more compliant, maybe is the word. Uh, but yeah,
Malleable?
but that's
I don't know. But yeah,
that.
okay.
I didn't want to just hijack his idea, but it's an example of like a different material. You can buy maps in Tyvek or paper. Generally, Tyvek is a bit more expensive, but unless you're only ever planning on using them in your house and you don't plan on using them a lot, Tyvek is something that I would recommend because it's a little bit more impervious to damage, to moisture. And honestly, if you've ever had a paper map that's gotten any amount of use on the crease lines, it pretty well starts to fail pretty quickly.
Yep.
Um, and so a tougher map is advantageous and probably worth spending, as much as twice as much or more for something that will last a long time and get you through. If you're doing a big trip and you know your map is going to survive a lot more stuff because you're depending on it, then that's something you want to go with. And then I got thinking, well, what other materials exist like that? Why would we choose one material over another? Right?
I got a question about the map, just from somebody that, once again, that's never used that style of map. What is going to be the advantage over picking up a Tyvek map versus, say, just printing and like home laminating some sheets from YouTube? Because I mean that's my go-to. To be perfectly not YouTube, from Google Maps, you know what I mean. But that's my go-to, and not saying it's a great go-to, but what is the advantage? I'm sure there's something there.
Well, for one thing, your printed one that you've laminated, laminate doesn't really take folding and all that very good either.
No,
It's onto it, it just beads up and falls off. Like, it doesn't really stick to it. It's not going to absorb into it. And Tyvek, you've worked with Tyvek like on
I
houses
have
and
like
stuff.
building houses and stuff, but I never even knew they
It's
made it out of maps. To be honest with you.
it's very tough. It's very much a better solution. I'm trying to think now if I have one within reach, and I may, but I'm not going to.
Just before we move on from this topic, once again, just because I have questions, where would you find said maps? Is it something you can find from a normal retailer, or are we looking
Yeah.
online, specialties? Where?
Like a lot of maps I've bought have been like from the parks and stuff. So if you go to like a lot of the parks where they sell maps, or even like Mac places like that to sell, oftentimes you'll see both options. Go online and look, you'll see it. Like, you can probably buy like the standard topographic maps for Canada that are Tyvek.
Sorry, we apparently dropped some audio there. My side's showing fine. We didn't drop anything, so I'm just asking the folks there in the comments to keep an eye on it for us. We got Gary and Steve joining us there. We got Eric as well too. Hey, Eric. Okay, yeah, no, thank you very much. Like I said, I didn't know much about them right up until we started having this conversation, and then I was like, okay, guess I'll do a little research on this. You know what I mean? So I literally know what I've learned from when I talked to you this morning to now.
Yeah, so it's just a more superior material, especially if you're kayaking or out in the rain and stuff. Like think about it, a waterproof map versus a regular paper map. And even if there's some kind of finish put on a paper map, because I think if you read his book, like he had found like some kind of spray you put on,
Mm-hmm.
make it more. It didn't hold up. Like I think the bag he had them in got water in it. They soaked, and it was a while before he realized. By the time he realized they were more map soup than map.
And I do
So
remember that it had like in a map tube or something like that, and he sprayed this stuff on it, but the boat rolled on his first day, and everything got
yeah.
wet, and he didn't realize that the maps had gotten wet. But yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, just because we are referencing Stefan here, we had him on the show a year ago.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look up. I suppose I should have. But anyway, he wrote the book Perseverance, and he wrote about his trip that he took through the river there through some old fur trading routes. And it's actually a really interesting book. We highly recommend that you go check it out. I will try and link it to this description, or sorry, the description to this podcast so people can go check it out because he's a local guy here from Canada. Yeah, there we go. Perseverance, Life and Death in the Subarctic. I don't know where mine is. But in any case, yeah, it's a great book. Check it out. Did you get one of the ones with the writing inside?
I did. I picked it. I think so.
Yep. Cool. I got one too.
Yeah.
Always darkest
So I
before the
happened
dawn.
to just be in one of the universities. Give him a hard time. I think he did promise us hard copies, but we didn't care. It wasn't why we put him on the show. But I found it in the store and I bought one, and I'm happy to support him. So
I
yeah,
picked
you
mine
guys
up on
get a chance.
Amazon. We have
you know,
Fall Stigger75 joining us, apparently for the first time. Welcome, sir. Drop in the comments a little where you're from, and we'll definitely mention it out there and give you a shout out. So yeah, we talked about maps. That's kind of where this idea spawned from. So where did you want to go from here? I know that like the big one for me is like sheath material. That's what came to mind when I was thinking different materials, like Kydex versus leather versus nylon. There's a bunch of different things there, and each one kind of has its advantage, and each one kind of has some negatives towards it, much like the maps I'm slowly learning. I mean, paper maps generally being a little cheaper, Tyvek being a little bit more expensive, but you get kind of what you pay for. It's not a matter of which is better, it's a matter of what fits your needs the best, it seems to be.
yeah, with a lot of this stuff, it isn't cut and dry. It's not going to be like for me, Tyvek map is a no-brainer. If there's the option of both, I'm almost always going to buy the Tyvek. I really am. Like this is not a matter of debate for me. I'd much rather a good solid map, and it's better. But for other things, it's not so cut and dry. So sheaths are a really good one, and I think this is one of the ones we threw back and forth when we were talking. And Kydex and leather and nylon and plastic, you can get like cheap plastic ones. But you can get a bunch of styles of sheath, and they all have advantages and disadvantages. And I don't know if anyone's ever had a leather sheath that got like ignored for a period of time, but I've had one. When I got back, the thing was covered in mold. Like,
Yeah, no, I have, it's not a leather one, but I had, what was it? It was a leather pouch of some sort. I think it might have been the pouch that came with the 303. Anyway, it was a leather pouch and it had gotten a little bit of moisture on it and then got put away. And yeah, it came back almost slimy and moldy and it ended up being ruined and I had to get rid of it.
yeah,
It rotted
and
almost.
And there are things you can do. You can clean leathers up and you can retreat them and stuff like that. And there's like saddle soaps and like mink oils and things like that, and paraffin wax. Different things you can do to make it a little bit more waterproof, a little bit more protected. I like leather. It's very hard wearing. It lasts a long time, and if you take care of it, it does good. But it does require some maintenance, some care. It's harder to clean when it does get dirty. And if it gets too wet, you really have to be really careful on how you dry it. Otherwise, it can change shape and form and function. And so it has its limitations. And then you take Tyvek, which is probably one of the more modern, popular methods right now. It is a thermoplastic. It's formed around your object that you want to carry. And when you do that, it kind of makes a snap fit. Like you can snap things in and out. You can put lots of grommets on it. You can have different lashing methods. Yeah, right. And it has that satisfying click when it's set up right and works. It's very hard wearing itself. Like if it can take impacts, and it really does last. And it's virtually maintenance free. If it gets dirty, you literally wipe it off with a damp rag and you're fine. But you can also wipe it off with a damp rag with some harsh soaps on it. It's still fine, right?
No, 100%. I'm a big fan of leather, much like yourself, as you said, for all the reasons there, just because it also has a more rustic feel to it, and I kind of like that sometimes too. Kydex is still relatively new for me, or Kyvex, whatever you want to call it. This is one of the only ones I own with a Kyvex sheath on it, and I do like it, but it does have some dysfunctions, is what I'd like to bring up on this one, just while we're talking about different materials. It is very durable, but it's very rigid. It has a tendency to dig in and cause hot spots, I find, on my side and stuff like that, even with the top, just where it kind of comes over my belt. That can dig into my hip a little bit, and I find, you know, if I'm using it for a long time and constantly moving around, it can dig in and cause a little bit of problems. But, as you said, it's darn near indestructible. Easily cleans, water doesn't seem to bother it. It's great that way. And then we talk about like nylon, probably the cheapest of the cases you can get. Get it very common when it comes to like multi-tools and folders and things like that. Still serves the function, has a little bit of water resistance, maybe not as durable, but it still serves the function. Once again, it kind of comes down to what's the budget and what are you looking to do with it. There's days when this I would rather on my hip than this, and there's days where, well, almost all the time I prefer my leather one, a couple of them. That just happens to be my preference, but I see the use for all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And that's the thing, that they do have their uses. They have their advantages and disadvantages. And like leather just has a feel that's hard to beat. Like honestly, you know, I like leather boots. I like, leather items because they look a bit better sometimes. They even when they wear, they kind of just look better somehow.
Yeah,
So good.
they wear nicer. This tends to start looking its age, while the other one kind of ages good with time,
Yeah,
providing you take care of it.
like a good leather jacket is a jacket that you can have for years. And then generally a lot of your polyesters and your nylons and your synthetic material jackets don't, after a couple of years, they just don't feel and look the same. Like they've degraded and there's no recovery to it. Uh, that being said, ease of use, maintenance, and things is a lot easier with those products, and so it's something easier to deal with. So there's another example. Um, is there any specific notes you want to bring up in here?
No, I was just looking at the comments here, and this seems like as good as time as any because I did reach out to Fall Stigger there. Looks like he's from Southeast Massachusetts. A couple of
Oh,
folks welcome him here. I usually watch later, but have been subbed for a while. Well, once again, thanks, man, for really joining us there. Or we appreciate it. Is there anything you want us to talk about? Anything you want to say? We're very open, as you may have noticed on the podcast. We like to include anybody that shows up. So if you got some snippets of information or just a general comment you want to say, by all means. We always try to take the time to say anything that comes up in the comments. That way everybody gets to hear it and share it, and that's really what this is about, is an interactive podcast. We love hearing from you folks, and giving your folks' information to other people as well. This is just a medium to pass on more information so we all share the knowledge. Steve joined us there. He usually catches live. Some nights he nods off. Yeah, we know you're busy there, Steve. We also got Gary joining us. NS Yak Fisherman there, just got back from a 5-day backcountry camp out with his wife. I've been actually watching your Facebook. You've been getting out for lots of fishing too, catching some real nice fish there. It looks like a couple times you were after bass, I think, and might have been pickerel or perch in one of the photos too. But I'm not a super big fish guy like yourself, so I may be misidentifying those fish ever so slightly. But yeah, I mean, other things to consider. Might as well stay on the topic of tools is there's different metals that you can get in the tools as well, and that's a topic for a whole other day. But briefly, um, like different metals for different hardnesses are going to get you different things, and they each have advantages and disadvantages. The big thing, like I said, is going to be the general overall hardness of the metal. Generally, the softer one is, the easier it is to sharpen and get a good edge on it, but the faster it's probably going to wear out, versus the harder it is, it's going to keep an edge, but if it gets too fine, you can end up chipping and breaking them. So you kind of got to balance that off once again, depending on what you're going to do with it. I mean, nobody takes a boning knife out to the woods to cut down trees, and you generally don't use your axe to carve up a chicken. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. You kind of got to balance what you're doing with them with what you want to get out of it. A lot of folks want harder carbon steel so they can use it for striking a spark or use it as a striker, but that does have some trade-offs. You know what I mean? So definitely look into it, and I think we've talked about this in the past too. But that's just a general thing to think off there. And that comes with a lot of your other tools too, like your axes, your saws, and stuff like that. There's going to be different teeth. There's going to be different hardnesses. They're going to be for different woods, softwoods versus hardwoods. These are all things you got to take into consideration when you are looking for things like that.
Yeah, and with like the big quick definition you can come up with for just for like care, carbon steels need to be kept cleaner, probably lightly oiled, things like that. Where stainless steels and other steels like that, which are more resistant, require a little less care. So a lot of people like the carbon steel because, like you said, that you can pull a spark off it, and it has a reputation of being a really good metal, but it also has its downsides. So like the Mora knives I bought, you can buy them both stainless steel and carbon steel. And we bought some carbon steels, and honestly, we did forget them a little bit. And then when I opened them up, they have black spots on them.
Well, this one here, this Schrade is carbon steel, and I have to, like, it's an ionized carbon steel, but even then I have to keep that blade, which actually looks pretty good right now for those that are out there looking at it. But usually once a month, once every couple months, I pull that out, give it a look, make sure it's not, you know, corroding, a little bit of honing oil over it, just keep things good. That's the maintenance that's expected with a carbon steel versus my stainless steel knife, which is still sitting over my bag probably since last fall. And I know it's probably perfectly fine in there.
So another product I wanted to talk about, and we probably won't get into as many as we could with this, tarps,
Yeah.
hence things like that. This is an area you're going to find a hell of a lot of information, and it keeps growing. I'm trying to remember what like the Durston tent was made of. It's not. It's a more space age material. They're super lightweight. They're very thin, almost see through.
They're I can't think of the name of it either, but going to the more common ones, which I'm sure we're going to touch on here, like there's poly tarps, there's canvas tarps, there's sil nylon tarps, all of which have advantages and disadvantages. Generally, the lighter you get, the easier it is to pack. More often than not, you're giving up a little durability. The heavier it is, generally the more durable it is, but the more room it's going to take and the heavier it is, like physically heavier to carry. But they both serve purposes. I'm not going to take a really thin, ultralight trail hiking tarp potentially into like a black spruce bog with all the sharp little limbs and stuff like that blown in the night. It's probably going to be shredded. I would take a thicker tarp. Once again, different strokes, different folks. You know what I mean? It may be one tarp isn't the answer all, which is what Ben and I generally say here. You can never own enough of anything. And if you think you did, that just means you haven't found the right one yet. But yeah, no shame to any of that stuff either. Were you trying to look up what that material was called? Because I know you're dying to know what it is.
Yeah, there used to be a product called Cuban fiber or something like that. And it's not that. There's another product that's even better than that.
Well, Ben looks for that. Another one we have talked about in the past is like when it comes to sleeping bag fill material. You can get synthetic versus down or naturals. And once again, there is benefits and negatives. And we have covered this under a sleeping bags episode, and I encourage you to go back and look at it. But it is one of those things you have to look at. How do you want to pack it down? Do you want to stuff it? Do you want to fold it? Where is it going to be stored? How small does it need to be? How much weight do you have? How much room do you have? All of these things could potentially lead you to getting a sleeping bag. And once again, honestly, it's not a bad idea to have one of each if it's budget friendly for what you got to spend. I'm not telling people to go out there and buy more gear than you need, but I do like having one of each. I did get a down sleeping bag lately, and it is great. There is spots where I find my synthetic sleeping bag I like a little better. There are spots when I find my down sleeping bag I like a little better. Neither one is better than the other, depending on who you talk to, but it's definitely worth looking into and seeing which one's going to fit you better. Did you figure it out, Ben?
Still PE or still slash PE.
Nope, not
Still
interested in
poly.
that. uh, what were some of the other things? Oh, cooking. We've talked about this in the past too, but there's another big consideration for a lot of folks that are getting out there getting pieces of equipment. What do you want your cooking supplies made of? The big common ones right now that I can think of is aluminum, stainless steel, and titanium.
Yeah.
And you own all three, same as I own all three. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the differences?
Well, I mean, for the most part, it's weight and durability, right? Like stainless steel or steel pots are by far the strongest. You can get copper too as another option, right?
Mm,
Aluminum has a bit of a reputation because people worry about leaching and some diseases and things like that that were associated with it, like Alzheimer's. But super lightweight, been used for years, and we use aluminum a lot of stuff. So take it, do your research, make your own decision. And then you got like titanium, but titanium is expensive.
but it's
And
kind of the
you
best of both. It's tough and light.
yeah.
So
And it is tough, but it does have its limitations too. I mean, I've got titanium stoves that overheat, got weaker. They do discolor and sometimes in beautiful ways, but they tend to oxidize to certain colors under heat and things like that.
I find
And
they're not great for thermal insulation either. If you're using it as a pot or a dish, the heat dissipates almost as fast as if you had to pour it on the ground. In all
yeah,
honesty, like they are an amazing heat transferring device.
yeah. So titanium has a lot of really good advantages, and the price reflects some of that, right? But yeah, I use titanium. I like titanium. I have titanium forks, knife, and spoon. I have titanium pots, and they're really good. I cups, things like that. But I also have steel, aluminum. I have the enamel coated ones that were really
Mm-hmm.
popular in our parent ages. You
I
know
was
what
gonna
I
say, I
mean?
think I still have an enamel teapot with the cup set, which I
Yes.
still love. I use it in the garage anytime I'm working out there in the winter and got the wood stove on. The enamel teapot's on the top with some tea bags in it.
Right. Very solid. Lasts a long time. Works really well. Like there's no knocking it. But it is heavier. It's a little bulkier. The enamel can chip off, but it takes a bit. Um, and it's never to say that one is vastly better than the other. Is it worth it? Like honestly, I weighed the difference between an aluminum pot and a titanium pot, and it isn't mind-blowingly better.
No, so
It's
once again, it comes down to what do you like, what can you afford. I like stainless steel because I don't mind the extra weight. It's not a lot of extra weight, and if I break or lose it, I'm not terribly upset. I do carry my titanium spork, which has the knife spoon thing on it. I also
yeah,
have a set of titanium chopsticks that I've been carrying recently because for whatever reason, I've gotten really into chopsticks. I like them because they can reach down into stuff. You can make them out of like literally a stick you find out in the ground. Um, but no, I carry that stuff for my pots. Generally, I just go stainless steel because I do like the GI style cup, and it's kind of my bowl slash pot slash everything in one, and my canteen fits in it, and it's all kind of a nestable thing. But at the same time, I don't have any real money invested in that. Like maybe $30. If I lost the entire setup, including the bag that it was carried in, I'm only out like the cost of a titanium cup.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. And that's kind of what you have to think about with this stuff. Like when you come across a lot of the stuff that you can get into, uh, either the cost of buying it is high or maintenance. I can't remember the name of the material. There's one material that when you had to tape it, you couldn't actually sew it. It's not a sewable material. Kind of like a Tyvek type material.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not Ripstop. What is it? It's the other one. I can't remember the name of it, but it'll come back to me.
But yeah, there's these different materials that you can buy. Um, and you talked about like the tarps. Let's go back to that briefly.
Yeah.
Like canvas tarp, same problems we said with like the leather, and you can get a leather tarp too, believe it or not. That's expensive. Uh,
I was gonna say, where would you
but
use a leather tarp? The weight of that would be astronomical, I would think.
same as the
Welding.
canvas when you had to treat it, like the heavy canvas tarps. But if you just throw it over wood piles, over boats, things like that. And it was hard to drag around. Those old canvas tents were hard, but if they got wet, damp, put away, they got moldy. They're hard to clean and you had to re-waterproof them. And there was a lot of stuff to it. Then you got the poly blue, polyester, whatever it is, or
Just a
tarp.
polytarp, your classic dollar store polytarp, which is what I started with, folks, just so we're clear. Doesn't mean it's bad gear. It's what I could afford at the time.
It's
Ben was the one
lightweight,
that actually talked about my setup and enlightened me about some of my other options.
right? It's really basically lightweight, works well. It doesn't have the longevity of some of the more expensive ones, but also you don't have to be as careful with it.
I was
I
gonna say
mean,
$6. If I get the one camping trip out of it, it paid for itself.
yeah, right? Or price $150 for like a really good sil nylon there a few years ago, and you're like, you'd never want to use it as a ground tarp, where the poly tarp you don't care about. Like, where are you using it? How are you using it? And how do you take care of it? And I'm very careful with my more expensive gear, which means I'm limited to where I'll use it, how I'll use it. And I think that's an important thing. Looking at it, and is it repairable versus more replaceable? And I think we're already close to the half-hour mark. And I'm going to talk about one other thing I want to throw in here: axe handles and things like that. So a wooden axe handle is the most traditional method you can get. And if you break one off in the woods, you can, in a pinch, carve out one with the axe, the broken axe. You could still make another handle and have a functioning axe till you get back out.
May not be as
If you have,
comfortable, but will work.
but if you had a fiberglass or composite handle, right? Because some of them are some kind of like glass reinforced plastics, get carbon fiber type ones. There's a lot of materials you can get out there. If that breaks, good luck getting it out of the hand, and even better luck trying to repair the thing. It's just not a truly doable thing.
Yeah, because usually the handle's bonded right into the head in most of those synthetic materials. I broke the handle on a splitting axe out here. Not by splitting, accidentally ran it over the tractor, not gonna lie. And yeah, I still can't get the head out of the handle out of the head. It was one of those plastic fused ones you called, and it was basically fused onto the head. The only way I can think of doing it is like throwing it in the fire and letting it melt out, but then it's gonna ruin the temper. So my other option is to basically drill it multiple times and slowly whittle it out, which I just haven't gotten around to now because that stuff binds up drill bits harder than hell.
That's how I've done it in the past: is drilled it out, taken a drift or a good punch and a heavy hammer and pounded it out piece by piece, and it chips out. And it's a dirty, messy work. And honestly, the fibers and dust that comes off it is not healthy for you. So it's got its issues. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the complaints people made about some of these things. And I think that's the consideration. A lot of the stuff isn't as repairable. Poles for years were always aluminum, and then they went like fiberglass, and now you can get carbon fibers and things like that. They they tend to fail, the more expensive ones, more catastrophically when they do fail.
Yeah, I
That's
was going
my
to say the
experience.
old tent poles used to bend and then you could basically tape them back together for that's the classic thing. But with like the fiberglass poles, when they break, they explode. And carbon
Yeah,
fiber, I imagine, will be much the same.
yeah. And they're super flexible, very strong. They're lightweight, and they last a long time. And they probably need even less maintenance. They're less likely they don't corrode. But when they do fail, it's pretty well a complete failure. There's no recovery after that. So they delaminate along the length, they come apart, and you really have a piece of more or less unhealthy material because you don't want to get that splinters in your hands or anything. So you kind of have to realize, and then the replacement of it is more of a specialty item. Like, you'll have to contact the manufacturer. With aluminum one, you could potentially buy one, cut it shorter, and just put the ends back on. Things like that. Like, it's so that's kind of an idea. We could go further into
Oh,
clothing, into
goodness. Yes, we could
everything
go on.
else. But
Go,
just getting people thinking about, when you buy material, your products, what materials you're getting, and what work was it be involved in it, and what are you hoping to get out of it. And very much not that everything is better than nothing or whatever, but certain products, like I said, the Tyvek is a good example. I really don't see a side to Tyvek except the price.
Yep. And I think that's the main point I want to make on most of this was there is, the old classic saying, more than one way to skin a cat. There is no bad gear. The gear that fits your need and what you can afford is good gear. You just got to know its limitations, where it shines, where you need to be weary. And
Yeah.
that's where the research can come in. I mean, once again, I started with little to no budget. I worked with poly tarps and aluminum cook sets and Bic lighters. And, you could have bought my entire setup from Walmart for around $20 at the time. Worked perfect for what I had at the time and what I could work with. As I started learning more, learning where I wanted to invest that money, where it made more sense to me, then I started honing that gear in. And that's kind of what this is all about. Do your research, get the juices flowing, see what's going to work for you. Don't listen so much to what everybody else tells you to buy. Figure out what is going to work in the situation you want to put that in.
Yeah. And just because you get better gear doesn't mean your old gear is bad. It may just find a new home or a new life with you, right? Like, when I buy
I
a better
still
axe,
use cheaper knives that I own over some of the more expensive knives I own just because I like them better. For no
yeah,
other reason than my personal preference.
100%, right? If you buy something just because it's lighter or easier to carry around, that doesn't mean the heavier axe is a bad axe, or the heavier knife is a bad axe, or the heavier tent is a bad tent. It just means it becomes the car tenting gear, where your lightweight gear becomes your backpacking gear or your canoeing gear.
Like what Gary was saying over here, he uses his down sleeping bags more often, and then he says titanium backpacking, stainless kayaking. Backpacking, he's looking for weight. Kayaking, he has a little bit more freedom there. So once again, it's all about what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, and as you go, you're going to build a kit for the things you want to do.
Sorry, I just got a
having
message
options.
from the fire department. Nope. Okay. I didn't know if it was important or not.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Really, the big thing is, different materials. Take a look at it. Do your research. Sometimes you can buy the similar product in two different materials. Look at the advantages, disadvantages, and even look at the cost. And is it worth it? Like, is the advantages you're getting worth the effort?
And
And
that's what it came
sometimes,
into.
honestly,
Like a prime example for me on that was titanium. I love my titanium stuff, but the associated costs and my worry of losing/breaking it made it to the point where I didn't buy a whole lot of other titanium stuff. And I love titanium. Just for me and what I do, I know I'm prone to losing stuff.
yeah.
There was a message there. He retracted it, so I don't know if he's going to finish the thought or not. Anyway, go ahead, Ben. Lead us out of here, and then I'm going to say thanks to everybody over here in the comments.
Get out there, have fun, enjoy yourself, and let us know what materials that really shine for you. What are things that you look for over anything else?
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us on any of our listings down there that are current. I mean, they're all still kind of current. Thank you to everybody that joined us here in the comments. We had Steve, the Drifting Spore, Eric. We had our new listener there. Well, no, long-time listener, new viewer. Fall Sticker 75. We had Gary, NS Yak Fisherman. And I thought I seen somebody else there, but I could be wrong. Anyway, if I missed you, I apologize. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us. We love hearing your feedback, and looking forward to talking to you again next week. So, have a good night, everybody.
Night all.